today the community and the media an important update on this critical project, our North Lake pilot demonstration project.
Today, the
our
community
first speaker
and the
today
media,
will be
an important
oral remarks
update
from
on
Supervisor V. Manuel Perez. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today in person due to a death in the family. We will play some audio from him. After Supervisor, we'll have California
critical project,
Eduardo
our
Garcia
North Lake
from District
pilot
36. Assembly Member Garcia will provide his comments in both English and Spanish. We will also have Vice President Castulo Estrada from the Coachella Valley Water District provide his comments in both English and Spanish from the podium. Then we will have G. Patrick O'Dowd, our Executive Director and General Manager for the Salton
project.
Today, and Bob Oland, Vice President of Engineering from DUDEC. First will be Supervisor V. Manuel Perez.
Although we made some strides where, for example, in Imperial County, as a result of the quantification settlement agreement, we're going to unfertile environment and wildlife. You're going to see more people getting sick. You're going to have more respiratory illnesses. I want to plead the state of California to Riverside County and the folks of East.
Thank you. And next is Assembly Member Eduardo Garcia.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Buenas tardes. Thank you so much, Supervisor, for setting the context to why this day is extremely important and why this work matters to all of us. This particular milestone, I think, meets many of the objectives that we've been hearing from the community as they have heard about, they've participated in conversations about the sea, and for many of them, the motivation of not seeing an actual project within the eye view has been very frustrating. The supervisor, in his remarks, talks about a project of large significance in the southeast part of the Salton Sea that is critical to the 10-year management plan. But that project is out of sight. And when out of sight, for many people, it's out of mind. And so this particular effort that is underway today and is initiated today will give us that opportunity for the public to be part of on real time, as the governor would say, the efforts that are underway to improve the quality of the sea here in the North Shore community. It's important that I highlight that this funding came from Prop 68. The voters of California supported that initiative where $200+ million were included both for the project that is under construction in the southeast end of the sea and this roughly $20 million for the Salton Sea Authority to take the lead on this project. It's also important to note that the state of California remains with a fund balance to continue some of these projects moving forward, and we want to make sure that we do right with this project in order for us to continue pushing for those dollars to be drawn down and continue to implement them with projects like what we're seeing here today. In a few years, it may not be past us that we could have projects under construction at all four corners of the Salton Sea. And what I mean by that, projects that are being deliberated, analyzed in the Desert Shores communities, projects that are being prepared to get initiated at the Bombay Beach community, and as we've mentioned, the project that the Salton Sea Management Plan has called out as one of the principal infrastructure projects. All four corners of the Salton Sea could potentially see activity, which is critical to all of the things that the supervisor highlighted are important: the environmental, the economic, and making sure that we do right by this community in North Shore. I also would like to highlight that there are initiatives underway in collaboration with the local partners here. And those initiatives are driven by budgetary requests, but also legislative efforts. And to date, we are working on a climate resiliency bond, taking a very similar approach as was in Prop 68 to ensure that the Salton Sea communities, that the Salton Sea Authority, and that the potential of a Salton Sea Conservancy that could serve as a body to maintain and operate these projects receives funding. Our proposal is to increase Salton Sea investments for the 10-year management plan to $500 million. Our proposal has an additional $40 million for the Salton Sea Authority, and we also are proposing a $25 million allocation to get the Conservancy off the ground. Why is that important for me to share? Because that tells us that we've got some work to do. We've got some work to do to ensure that during the legislative process, we are advocating for these investments to make their way back to the community so that we can continue to implement a 10-year plan and continue to demonstrate to the surrounding communities that the state of California and its local Salton Sea partners are meeting its goals and objectives and the promise that was made by the state when it signed the QSA. Muy buenas tardes. Quiero darle las gracias al supervisor Manuel Perez, quien nos contextualiza lo que viene siendo la situación aquí en el Salton Sea. Nos da las razones por qué estamos aquí hoy, nos da el propósito y objetivo por qué es de gran importancia y al mismo tiempo nos da la llamada de acción para que sigamos involucrados en este desarrollo y este tema. Es importante para mí dar luz a lo que viene siendo de dónde vienen estos fondos. La propuesta 68, que fue aprobada por los votantes en el 2018, nos propuso más de $200 millones para invertir aquí en el Salton Sea, en donde vemos aquí que hay un poco menos de $20 millones que nos ayuda con este proyecto inicial. Y en las áreas del sureste del Salton Sea existe un proyecto que ya va en camino de más de $200 millones. Igual con el compromiso que se ha hecho por el Estado, nuestra oficina trabajando con los colaboradores que están presentes y estos que no, que han hecho este proyecto del mar prioridad, estamos impulsando otro bono estatal en donde inversiones de más de 500 millones se aparten para los proyectos del Salton Sea, 40 millones para la autoridad del Salton Sea para seguir iniciando proyectos locales y al mismo tiempo 25 millones de dólares para una organización que pueda mantener estos proyectos. ¿Por qué es de gran importancia este inicio de este proyecto? Porque los residentes de las áreas de Meca, de North Shore por años han estado escuchando que hay trabajo que se está tomando a cabo, han estado escuchando que hay dinero disponible para estos proyectos y han participado y asistido a muchas juntas, muchas reuniones sobre el tema y desafortunadamente muy poca acción han podido ver ellos mismos con sus ojos. Este proyecto es el inicio de esa diferente narrativa que existe y que van a poder ver lo que viene siendo los proyectos bajo construcción. Por eso es de gran importancia este proyecto. Le damos las gracias al supervisor por su liderazgo. Le damos el reconocimiento a nuestros compañeros y compañeras de la autoridad del Salton Sea, incluyendo a nuestros representantes de las tribus soberanas, que son los originales habitantes de este territorio. Con eso termino mis comentarios, les damos las gracias y de vuelta vamos a seguir adelante con estos proyectos aquí. Muchas gracias.
Next, we have Vice President Castulo Estrada from the Coachella Valley Water District.
Hi, good afternoon. Buenas tardes. You know, I'm just going to try to talk a little bit more about what the demonstration project's about. And I'll start off with the fact that there was an idea some years ago that a potential project could be something we were calling the Perimeter Lake Project. And so we know that the sea is shrinking, right, all along its perimeter. We also had some budget calculations back when we were looking at that project that we were thinking that we needed about $1 billion to really kind of tackle the project as a whole. And so when we heard that we could draw down the $20 million by working with the Department of Finance, the money had become available through Prop 68, and we had to define what we were going to use the money for. Well, the thing that seemed to fit was starting up with the demonstration project. That's why we're calling it a demonstration project. And that the project would help us understand what kind of water quality we were, was available to us, what kind of water supply was available to us. And that by answering those questions, we could then potentially move on to more projects around the sea. So that's the importance of this project. This project is going to allow us to really answer those questions, right? The water quality component that you heard the supervisor mention, the water volume component. And so that's critical because that's what's really going to set the construction and the design for what we ultimately build out here, which includes the shallow habitat. It includes potentially some recreational opportunities if the water quality is good enough. We're trying to figure out how much water do we have available, whether we have to pump water out from the ground. We've even explored the potential to move canal water and put it in the sea. We're exploring moving some drainage water into the sea. So all those questions are going to be addressed through this demonstration project, which again is going to really facilitate us moving on more and more projects into the future. I want to thank the supervisor. I want to thank the assembly member, the Department of Water Resources for providing the funding that's going to allow us to break ground on this project. And I think what we're hearing is we're going to start off with the geotech. That's something that is going to cover up until December is what I'm hearing. So there's a number of exploration that's going to take place, and so that's going to continue to help us with the design. And so I would just encourage everyone to continue to work together so that we can complete this project sooner than later. And I think one of the key components to this project and something that we continue to promote as the Salton Sea Authority is that we would like to prioritize projects in the vicinity of existing communities like North Shore. And so that's a big factor of why we chose this project to be situated in this particular area, because of the benefit and the potential positive impacts that it could have to the surrounding community. En español, le quiero dar las gracias al Estado, al asambleísta Garcia, al supervisor, al Departamento de Agua en California por haber proveído los fondos necesarios para poder comenzar este proyecto. Este proyecto es un proyecto que vamos a usar, es una demostración. Si en verdad quisiéramos atacar todo el proyecto a la misma vez, fuera un costo casi de $1 billón. Ahorita lo estamos enfocando solamente en un pedazo, y con este proyecto vamos a empezar a entender un poquito más qué clase de agua, con qué clase de agua contamos, cuánto volumen, cuál es la calidad, y con esa información los va a guiar para seguir haciendo más proyectos en el futuro. Estamos muy contentos, muy felices de que estamos ahorita ya en este punto de construcción. Vamos a empezar a hacer todas las exploraciones para la construcción, para empezar a hacer el diseño, terminar el diseño, últimamente cumplir con el proyecto, y esperemos que todo salga bien, y les doy gracias a todos. Muchas gracias.
And next, we have G. Patrick O'Dowd, Executive Director and General Manager for the Salton Sea Authority.
Good afternoon, and thank you. This is an exciting day. We've waited a long time to get to this day. People are waiting to see something happen, and I think it's happening. My name is Patrick O'Donnell. I'm the Executive Director of the Salton Sea Authority. The Salton Sea Authority is a joint powers agency formed by Riverside County, Imperial County, the Coachella Valley Water District, the Imperial Irrigation District, and the Torres Martinez Desert Cahuilla Indians. My board is made up of 2 elected officials from each of those organizations. My 10 bosses are all elected officials representing every man, woman, and child in the Imperial and Coachella Valleys. Together, we've been working together at addressing challenges at the sea for the last 30 years. This is the 30th anniversary of the Salton Sea Authority. So we're very proud of the work, partnering with our friends at the state and the assembly member and the work he's done on this project to get us to where we were. It goes back a while. Director Estrada is a little humble. He and Supervisor Perez, working together with Assembly Member Garcia, put this deal together. That's how it got done. It took a lot of work, a lot of convincing to get that $19.25 million to get this project in the ground. And I think that's what we're today doing, is getting this in the ground. So I'm very thankful for them. I actually served on the Salton Sea Authority board with those 2 gentlemen, along with our current president, Altrina Santillanes, who is tribal secretary of the Torres Martinez tribe. And let's see. They mentioned that this is a demonstration project. I just wanted to touch on that briefly because it's actually a pilot demonstration project. And what's really important about that is this small 160-acre project will inform so many more projects around the lake. But in conjunction with that, we're going to face challenges. We're going to face unknowns. We're going to be asking questions. We're going to be getting answers that we think are right. They might not be right. So it's taken us longer to get here than we thought, but we're here, and we're going to get to the finish line. And when we get there, we're going to have a project that the community and the region will thoroughly enjoy, and that will further inform bigger and more significant projects out and around the sea. I think this is a North Star that will lead to a much brighter future for the sea and the region. Finally, I just wanted to thank our partners at Samantha Arthur, Assistant Secretary of the California Natural Resources, and her team, and CNRA and DWR, and all the partnerships we have both at the state and federal level. This couldn't happen without local, state, federal, and community participation in the important work that's going on here. And working together, we can accomplish a lot of great things. Thank you very much.
And our last speaker is Bob Oland, Vice President of Engineering for DUDEC.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Oland. I'm Vice President of DUDEC. And first off, I just want to say the DUDEC team feels honored to be working on this project for the community. It's an opportunity to actually take some action to take a step towards bringing vibrancy back to the area, which I think is really exciting. As been mentioned, we've kicked off this week the actual geotechnical investigation on the site. This week, what we did is it's basically in 3 parts of what we're doing to look at the soils beneath the ground to see what the foundation is for our project. The 3 parts are basically a geophysical survey, and the second is called CPT, or cone penetration testing, and then finally we'll actually do some actual borings on the site. Going back to the first one, geophysical survey is what we did here this week, and we were out there, and it's basically a cost-effective way to gather a lot of information across the whole site. So that's done by setting up some equipment and sending some shock waves through the ground and able to take that data to kind of figure out what's below the surface. Not real deep, but deep. The second one is a cone penetration test, which we're going to do in 2 or 3 weeks. What that is a little more accurate test in more localized areas throughout the site. So we get more detailed information that helps augment our database. And then finally, a couple weeks after that, probably the beginning of December, we'll actually come out here with the drill rigs and do the borings down quite deep to look and actually look at the soil physically in our hands, not just look at computer waves and so forth on the computer. Detailed information. And it'll give us really good information, but it's great to get it going. We're glad to be out here. I really thank the community for us being on the team. Thank you very much.
I have one more speaker. Her name is Samantha Arthur, and she works for Secretary Crowfoot of the California Natural Resources Agency.
Thanks so much. I'm pleased to be here with the County of Riverside and the Salton Sea Authority to mark the beginning of geotechnical investigations for this North Lake pilot demonstration project. The information that's going to be gathered here is essential for informing the design and construction. I'm an Assistant Secretary for Salton Sea Policy, and I lead our state's Salton Sea Management Program. And we're committed to addressing the air quality and environmental threats that are a result of declining Salton sea levels. My team and I are working diligently to plan and implement projects to create habitat for fish and birds, reduce dust, and identify opportunities to incorporate benefits to adjacent communities. As was mentioned earlier from other speakers, we have about 5,000 acres of restoration projects that are going on at the sea, including a 4,100 acre project down at the south side of the sea, the Species Conservation Project. So we're excited to be here today on the north side of the sea and recognizing the opportunity here with the location of this project close to the community of North Shore. And that's part of what we're so excited about with this. As you all know, the Salton Sea is a critical stop for migratory birds on the Pacific Flyway, and threatened and endangered species use this area. And in addition, and of serious concern, are the air quality issues, an area that's burdened by poor air quality, and as the sea shrinks, the exposure of that lake bed can potentially contribute to that. So our program is really aimed towards addressing those threats, and we do that in partnership. And so we're thrilled to be here today to mark this milestone with our partners and also as funders for this project. And we look forward to the continuing collaboration to move this forward. Thank you.
Some closing comments from Supervisor V. Manuel Perez from 4th District.
Member of
His team.
Darren Shimmer will read them out right now, and afterwards we'll do some Q&A.
I am Darren Shimmer, Communications Director for Supervisor Perez. Pat Cooper is Supervisor Perez's Deputy Chief of Staff. And on behalf of Supervisor Perez, we wanted to thank everyone for coming today. We wanted to thank also Telemundo as well as the Desert Sun also for covering this as well, so people can learn about this, and Supervisor just wanted to share a message that for family has always taken precedence over policy, and so although he would have loved to be here in person for such a milestone, I thank you all who took the time to send me well wishes on my uncle's passing. And thank you so much.
So now we are opening it up for some Q&A. We have from members of the media as well as members of the community and the board who are here today. We have subject matter experts available for any questions. All right. Well, thank you so much. We do have subject matter experts available for one-on-one interviews. Please see me if you have any additional questions. And oh, we do have one question. That's a great question, timeline question. had to go down.
Did I mention that this is a demonstration project? I think that the community has been waiting this project a long time. We honestly don't have a definitive timeline for this project, but we are hopeful that within the next year to year and a half, we will be at a position where we can actually be fully breaking ground on a completely designed and fully funded project. So I hope that helps.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. Again, we have many subject matter experts here who are available for interviews or questions. Thank you.
It's over though. Could you upload to YouTube the unedited version of Perez?
Javier could, or he could send it to me.
That's what I meant. One of you guys, whoever has the raw footage, maybe Javier.
Well, unedited one?
Yeah, because the edited one